so last class we talked about the beginnings of Vietnam and the backgrounds of it all. Who was the power who colonized colonized Vietnam?
French.
The French. Kind of gave that one away.
Yeah.
So the French colonized Indochina. What are the three countries that make up Indochina? Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Now the French start to lose their influence in Vietnam during the late 40s, early 1950s. What happened around this time that made their influence wane? End of the Second World War. How did that affect the French? Didn't they win? Weren't they on the good guys' side? They did bad. So they were weakened economically and militarily. Who eventually pushes the French out? The Viet Minh. Who are the Viet Minh? Good, so they were communists in North Vietnam. Who decides to step up and take over for the French here? The United States, right. So the U.S. sends military advisors. Now, who was the first president to send military advisors? What's that? Anybody else know? Okay. Truman. Is that what you're thinking of? Yeah. Forgot the name. So Truman was the first one to send advisors. And that was in 1950. Eisenhower takes over presidency in 52, and he continues to increase the advisors here. So, what happens, or what is supposed to happen in 1955? The elections where? The North or the South? So the South was supposed to have elections. Why didn't they?
Because the communists were more popular than the democratic.
Right. Okay, so the communists were more popular in the South. The United States feared that the communists would win. So what did they do instead? So they postponed elections. Now what's a little bit hypocritical about this?
They're meant to be democracy.
Because what?
They're meant to support democracy.
They're meant to support democracy. Correct. So if the people want a communist leader, a communist government, and they vote on it, shouldn't that be fair game? But see, the United States doesn't see it this way. They see it as there might be a communist victory. We can't have that even if it's through a democratic style. So let's fast forward a couple of years now. 1963. The United States is still kind of involved in Vietnam. Kennedy had further increased advisors, and President Johnson now takes over after Kennedy was assassinated, looks to further increase the U.S. involvement. Now, there's a certain incident that took place in early August of 1964. It was called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. So we'll fast forward now. This was in 1955. And here we are now, 1964. Okay, these specific dates aren't as important as long as you guys know the sequential order of it all. Alright? So 1964, Gulf of Tonkin incident. What this was the USS Maddox, was a Navy ship patrolling in the Gulf of Tonkin, which is right off of the coast of Vietnam. They reported that they were fired upon by North Vietnamese ships. It is likely that they may have been fired upon. Whether how much, or whether they actually hit, we're not exactly sure. 2 days later, another ship reports being fired upon. The USS Turner Joy, who had teamed up with the USS Maddox. So the Maddox and the Turner Joy report being fired upon. This turns out to be completely false. The second attack, we know, did not happen. However, President Johnson goes to Congress and is adamant this is an act of war by the North Vietnamese. They attacked our ship the one day, they attacked 2 ships the next day. So he gives this great big old speech to Congress saying how we need to up our influence in Vietnam, send more advisors even, go out for an all-out military conflict. Eventually, Congress agrees with him, not knowing the truth behind it, and they pass the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. I hope you guys are keeping track of everything from here on, all the way right here. The Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. It is similar to the UN mandate that was given to go and protect Korea. What it says is the president can use his powers to see necessary to protect the U.S. interests in Southeast Asia. So he can use all powers necessary. And he's the leader of the most powerful army on the planet at this time. So during this 1964 Gulf of Tonkin Resolution is when we start to see the real escalation of the Vietnam War.